Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Quoting from sections of the Police Act, Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves is reminding officers of their duties and purpose. At a media conference on Monday, PM Gonsalves said the police is an arm of the state and a cohortive apparatus with the task to reasonably and proportionately repel threats. He urged them to perform their duties with the utmost professionalism, as they are not a service but a force.
Is that you're not a civil servant. You are an arm of the state which has a specific set of purposes and duties. And the police force is part of the coercive apparatus of the state. Coercive means it's part of the force of the state. A state, a defining element of a state is that it possesses the legitimate monopoly on physical coercion. And in that state, the police is the central coercive arm in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Dr. Gonsalves praised those officers who have been carrying out their duties with excellence and reminded them of all to work as an integrated task force.
And I want to thank them and I congratulate them. But for those who are still in a mode of lethargy, I'm saying to you, do your work as a policeman or policewoman and know that you are part of an integrated police force, not separately. And in traffic one way, a man tell you, well, you have a drug squad, but it doesn't mean that every issue involving drugs has to deal with a man in the drug squad, or criminal investigation, that is the CID. You arrest somebody and then the CID person will come, or you detain the person. You'll get the CID person to come to help you in the case preparation and all the rest of it. But everybody is a policeman for every single purpose.
Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves has recently voiced a complaint that various news outlets, including SVG-TV News, continue to provide unbalanced coverage on matters of consequence within SVG. Dr. Gonsalves made his feelings known during his most recent press conference at Cabinet Room following a question from SVG-TV News reporter Sharon Garway on salaries from graduate teachers. The Prime Minister said that while he has high respect for Garway as an independent journalist, he has refrained from viewing SVG-TV News since February 2016, as in his view, SVG Television News was partial towards the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP. Dr. Gonsalves indicated that he has the highest regard for the owners and workers at the 37-year-old broadcasting entity. He, however, cannot say if since his last viewing in 2016, the newscast has become more balanced in its coverage.
Prime Minister, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Girl, you all still can't get me to watch your TV. It's since February last year. I ain't watching you. I have to say it every time, because it's a shame that SVG-TV, in the view of the Prime Minister, I wouldn't put that in anything like that, they can't get me to watch them. Can't get me to watch the news, that is. I want everybody to hear what I think about SVG News up to February last year. I don't know what happened between February and now, whether they've become fairer. I haven't asked anybody.
Okay.
I ain't got time to watch, man.
Okay,
Sorry.
Prime Minister, but your son said right here after press conference, 2 press conferences ago, that you do watch SVG television. After you denied
the news?
Yes, you did. He did say that. Going into the question.
I could tell you.
Going into the question.
I could tell you plain and straight, I do not watch SVG News. Absolutely not.
As it relates to teachers.
By watching them
Teachers,
to increase my blood pressure, bile.
teachers of this nation have stated that they have several grouses.
Gawe, in her response to PM Gonsalves, indicated that while she would always maintain the highest respect for the PM, she would continue to ask of him those questions which she considers requires answers in the interest of the public. PM Gonsalves said that he would maintain the freedom to view whatever he wants, but he was not inclined to tune into what he termed NDP at news.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. No always that I, Sharon Garwe, I'm going to ask the questions on behalf of the nation. We might butt heads, but I will always be respectful.
And I am very respectful of you. Look,
Second question very quickly.
Sharon, let me just say this. The people at SVG-TV, owners and people who work there, I admire. But when I found day in, day out, when I turn on the SVG-TV news, I saw it like NDP at news. I don't bother watch it. Just the same way, like if I know a man, you got one or two people for the NDP at prayer. I don't go to their church and listen to them. You're free to talk what you want to talk. It's a free and democratic country. But I'm free not to turn on to listen to you or come to the church to listen to you. If I hear John Brown, who I know going to give me a political sermon of a lesser quality than I'll even hear from Eustace, I prefer to hear Eustace in Parliament.
But oftentimes, what we do to be balanced, oftentimes, Prime Minister, is that there is sort of a response. So we want to get both sides of the story. So it's not that just we're leaning one side, but you know.
I understand what you're saying, Sharon.
There are thousands of people who watch.
Yeah. I have no doubt that is the case.
Yeah. Second question, the OECS Supreme Court.
Regional and local trade experts, researchers, and negotiators are from today, Tuesday, November 14th to Thursday, November 16th, participating in a data analysis workshop at the Foreign Affairs Conference Room. The workshop is being hosted by the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, ECLAC, in collaboration with the Commonwealth Hub and Spokes Program, the OECS Commission, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Commerce here in SVG. The aim of the workshop is to conduct training in 3 software packages used to analyze trade performance. Coordinator at the ECLAC office in Trinidad, Sheldon McLean, said the workshop forms part of ECLAC's capacity building efforts as they partner with other regional agencies to build trade capacity and promote economic development among the ECCU member states.
3 days, this workshop will provide a comprehensive overview of ECLAC's analytical trade-related tools with specific focus on the Caribbean dynamic. Enhancing trade analysis skills using tools such as TradeCan, Magic Plus, and WITS allows member states to produce the essential inputs needed to drive the formulation, negotiation, and implementation of better trade policy across the region. It is our hope that participants will walk away with an increased capacity to effectively use ECLAC's analytical tools that will ultimately be beneficial to their respective countries and the region as a whole.
Regional Trade Advisor within the Hub and Spokes program at the OECS Commission, Alan Paul, commended the willingness of all partners to enhance their skills in analyzing trading data.
Over the next 3 days is a concrete example of collaboration and partnering among organizations. ECLAC Trinidad and Tobago, ECLAC Mexico, the Hub and Spokes program of the OECS Commission, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I am confident that by the end of Thursday's session, your exposure to the suite of trade software packages, namely TradeCan, Magic Plus, and WITS, under the capable guidance of our expert team of facilitators, this will arm you with the necessary tools to begin to dive deeper into the analysis of trade and other economic data.
Welcoming the visiting participants and expressing gratitude to all involved parties, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Trade, Sir Louis Straker, deemed the workshop as very timely, noting that there is a need to seek innovative ways to harness and manage trade data.
Engineering economic growth, something I am sure the other OECS member states have aligned themselves to, given our shared objective of creating a single financial and economic space. Importance of using appropriate techniques in data compilation and analysis to inform inputs in trade policy formulation, negotiation, and implementation cannot therefore be overstated. It is within this context that the need for this training workshop was conceptualized to ensure that operators in the public and private sector in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the OECS are guided through some of the existing analytical tools where trade and competitiveness are concerned.
The SVG Teachers Union will continue to do its part to ensure the health and safety of the nation's teachers and students. That's according to President of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, as he spoke with SVG-TV News today on action the union took over the conditions present at the School for Children with Special Needs in Georgetown. Robinson stated that due to the deplorable conditions at the school, the union was concerned about the health and safety of students and teachers alike and called on teachers to stay away from work on Monday, November 13, 2017. Robinson said he was happy with the response of the teachers, which resulted in the facility being closed for the day, allowing for the relevant authorities to do the necessary work.
And because as a union, we are very much concerned about the safety and the health of our teachers and also the students, we would have advised them to stay away from the workplace in the interest of their health and the safety, not only of themselves, but of the students. And so the teachers would have followed the instructions of the teachers union, because it makes no sense you are in a workplace if there are elements which have adverse effect on your health and your safety. And so we want to commend the teachers for adhering to the instructions given by the teachers union.
The Teachers Union President took the opportunity to praise the Ministry of Education for its response to the union's concern on the matter.
The withdrawal of service from the special needs school in Georgetown was very successful. And we know that the relevant authorities are working to ensure that things get back to normal. The Ministry of Education has to rely on other ministries, other sectors to come on board and assist them. The ministry itself doesn't really have some of the tangible things which are required to address some of these issues. And you know, there is always a process. Okay, I know they visited, we wrote to them, and they visited the school, and the feedback I'm getting is that they are working towards resolving the issue. And I want to commend them for responding.
Whilst commending the government on passing the Occupation Health and Safety Bill, Robinson said the government must also fulfill its responsibilities under the law.
From any environment that is unsafe and unhealthy. And as you know, the teachers union would have worked tirelessly with other stakeholders in the initial stages when it was in the form of a bill. Okay, we made invaluable contributions to all the consultations, and I want to use this opportunity to commend the parliamentarians, the government and the opposition for easy passage of a very important legislation just recently in the House of Parliament. It's a very progressive piece of document. It's very holistic, and as you know, the government is the largest employer So even though the debates in the House would have spoken a lot concerning the private sector, we need to make sure that the government fulfill its obligation under the law.
As the government of SVG collaborates with the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, Brazilian Corporation to pilot the Brazilian model of school feeding program here in SVG, a number of educators will for the next 2 days engage in a training workshop to further develop their skill and practice in rolling out the program model. The 2-day workshop forms part of the work done under the project for the strengthening of school feeding programs in the framework of the Hunger-Free Latin America and the Caribbean 2025 initiative. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
Cognizant of the fact that the school feeding program goes beyond just providing a meal for the students, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines last November embarked on a 2-year project to pilot the Brazilian model of school feeding program here in SVG. As part of this project, a 2-day training workshop got underway here earlier today, Tuesday, November 14th, to facilitate the rolling out of the second component of the project, which deals with nutrition education through school feeding. National Project Coordinator Kirill Thompson-Fergus outlined that quite a bit of work has been completed since the project commenced, with the first component of setting up an interministerial committee already accomplished.
That's where we are now. We haven't yet established the gardens in the schools, but we are moving towards that. And the third component is to nutrition assessment of students. We have done that. The nutrition assessment, we have assessed over 400 students in the 3 primary schools, doing from BMI of all of the students, lab work, complete blood count, we did protein tests and so forth. And that is being analyzed and will be presented in what we call a nutrition plan, a nutrition assessment plan, and will be made available to the schools and the parents.
Thompson-Fergus added that while the project is being piloted in 3 schools, there are plans to have it extended to other schools throughout the country.
We would be continuing, as we have other schools here that are not in the pilot, only because Rural Transformation has been working with those schools or plan to work with the schools. So if you are here and you have never worked with us, that's because we plan to work with you perhaps next year or sometime down the future. So we want you to have the knowledge up front, so that when it comes to your garden, you see that it is not just another garden for supplying food, but we want the gardens to be pedagogical tool for teaching.
Highlighting that the school feeding program provides a student with 1/3 of his or her daily nutrient requirement, school feeding coordinator within the Ministry of Education, Viclin Job, expressed the ministry's elation to partner on the initiative.
Therefore, it is hoped that through these projects and through this training workshop, we will be able to receive the necessary knowledge, the skills, and of course the funding to be implemented in the school feeding program, which would aid in the continued development of the program.
6 of the 11 components which make up the Brazilian model of school feeding program will be piloted in 3 primary schools here in SVG. They are the Brighton Methodist, Wickerman Government, and the Diamonds Primary School. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
Vincentians are being encouraged to engage in positive lifestyle choices, as well as to work with the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment to adequately prevent and control diabetes. This encouragement comes from the Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Luke Brown, in commemoration of World Diabetes Day, observed today, Tuesday, November 14th, 2017. Minister Brown said the disease mainly affects women and took the opportunity to highlight its disastrous effects.
For females. Diabetes in women is associated with difficulties in conceiving and poor pregnancy outcomes. In the absence of preconception planning, type 1 or type 2 diabetes can spell disaster from the standpoint of a substantially higher risk of maternal and child mortality or morbidity. 1 in 7 births is affected by gestational diabetes mellitus, GDM, a particularly severe and often neglected threat to maternal and child health. Many women with GDM experience complications during pregnancy, including high blood pressure and obstructed labor, and they tend to have large birth weight babies. A significant number of women with GDM also go on to develop type 2 diabetes, resulted in further health complications as partially outlined above, and healthcare costs.
The health minister spoke of the activities slated for this week, which includes a women's conference at the Methodist Church Hall on Thursday, as well as free health screening at the atrium of the Central Market.
I urge all women and girls, and men and boys, to take advantage of this opportunity and in general to avail themselves of opportunities to have health checkups at clinics, health fairs or elsewhere, and to be involved in community activities aligned with the anti-diabetes movement as a part of the duties of citizenship. I should also mention that the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in collaboration with PAHO, is currently hosting a week-long training workshop for a total of 24 staff nurses, nursing assistants and community health aides on chronic diseases self-management. The health professionals participating in the workshop are being trained in areas that would allow them to guide persons with chronic afflictions on how they might better take care of themselves. Additionally, the ministry is about to embark upon a $2 million capacity building project for the prevention and control of diabetes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Whilst encouraging Vincentians to make healthy life choices, Minister Brown said it is also important that the health of the youth is not forgotten.
Be attentive to the advice and guidance of competent health professionals on this subject and take steps in your personal and professional spheres consistent with effective strategies for the prevention, control, and optimal management of this disease. I would certainly recommend screening for anyone with a family history of diabetes through public avenues or private physicians with practices. In the end, the good old advice is always applicable. Adhere to a balanced diet, exercise regularly, and avoid certain health vices like cigarette smoking and drinking. We must steadfastly resist the trend of our children being lured more and more into a sedentary lifestyle of watching television, playing video games, roaming social media sites, and lazing around all day long. We must still allow them to run about and play and participate in sports and other physical activities. That is our tradition.
Incorporating human rights principles into the HIV/AIDS response is critical as part of efforts to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic. That's according to Chair of the Caribbean Regional Network of Persons Living with and Affected by HIV/AIDS, Vincentian Winfield Tanis Abbott, as he gave closing remarks at the Latin America and Caribbean Forum on Sustainability of the HIV Response, which took place in Haiti. In his remarks, Tanis Abbott called for the adaptation of legislations to address the complaints of persons living with HIV/AIDS where there are human rights violations, as well as new strategies to ensure law reform and allow access to justice. Speaking on the recent natural disasters in the regions, Tanis Abbott highlighted the need for the access to medicines by persons living with the disease during an emergency, as well as for assessments to be done on how natural disasters impact a country's HIV/AIDS response. The institution's chair also called for the involvement of the youth, as well as for investments to be made in age-appropriate comprehensive sexuality education and youth-friendly services in school and for out-of-school at-risk youths. The Teachers Cooperative Credit Union has made a number of strides as it continues to deliver excellent products and services to the Vincentian public. That's according to Vice President of the Board of Directors of the SVG Teachers Cooperative Credit Union, Curtis King, as the organization on Monday launched its year-long activities in commemoration of Credit Union's 40th anniversary. King said since its establishment in 1978, the SVG-TCCU has provided a range of services which were originally exclusive to the members of the Teachers Union, adding that since then, the union has grown from strength to strength.
The primary goal was to provide financial assistance to the teachers and their immediate families. Thus, in the early period, one can conclude that the membership of the credit union was limited only to the members of the teachers' trade union. Our records show that since then, the Teachers Credit Union has experienced tremendous growth and development. As of December 31st, 2016, there were 11,799 members, up from that small figure mentioned earlier by the CEO of 88 members. And significantly, asset had risen to 113,904,225 East Caribbean dollars.
King added that the credit union's services are no longer exclusive to teachers, adding that the services provided are second to none.
Holidays. Most persons, as you would know, felt that a shelter was absolutely important, and the credit union struggled to meet that desire. However, in partnership with the Caribbean Home Mortgage Bank, the credit union was able to provide, and still is able to provide, home mortgages of up to 450,000 EC dollars. In addition, we provide an impressive line of services that I would say second to none. And you'll hear more of these from the marketing officers and others. We have also extended the common bond to all Vincentians living home and abroad to join and benefit from these services. And let me say up front that yes, we still carry the name Teachers Credit Union, but the Teachers Credit Union is a brand name in the same way that Nike and other brands are popular.
Also speaking at the launch was past president of the institution, Cecil Blazer Williams, who stated that the credit union movement as a whole faces many challenges, particularly that of the delinking of international banks, and added that the requisite work must be done to ensure that the union continues to strive for another 40 years.
And so I believe that the credit union movement itself may have to find ways and means of operating in such a way that we are able to survive in this kind of international atmosphere. So we are living in a world that is different from the 70s. And we are living in a world where we have to ensure that 40 years can go up to 80 years and beyond. And so that means we have to do the internal organization.